Have you ever noticed that something you deeply desired remained out of reach for a long time, yet the moment you stopped caring so intensely, it seemed to arrive on its own? Perhaps it was a relationship, an opportunity, financial stability, recognition, or even inner peace. The more you chased it, the further away it felt. Yet, when you finally relaxed, shifted your focus, or even surrendered completely, it appeared effortlessly. This is not a coincidence. According to Jungian philosophy, reality is not merely a chain of random external events. It is a living mirror, one that reflects your inner state back to you with remarkable precision. On this journey, instead of attempting to manipulate the outer world, you will discover how life begins to flow naturally when an internal shift occurs. The key is not force, but alignment. Not control, but awareness. Not obsession, but integration. 1. Looking inward, not outward. As Carl Jung famously said, "Who looks outside, dreams. Who looks inside, awakens." Most people spend their lives waiting for circumstances to change. They believe that happiness will arrive once they achieve success, find love, gain approval, or remove obstacles. They treat the external world as the source of fulfillment. Yet Jung understood something deeper. The external world reflects the inner world. When you obsessively chase something, you unconsciously affirm its absence. You send a silent signal to your psyche: I do not have this. I am incomplete without it. The unconscious mind absorbs this message, and reality mirrors back the feeling of lack. The more you reinforce the idea of not having, the more experiences of not having appear. Turning inward changes everything. Instead of asking, "Why is this not happening for me?" you begin to ask, "What belief, fear, or emotional pattern inside me is being reflected?" This shift transforms you from a passive victim of circumstances into an active participant in your own experience. You begin to see that your emotional tone, not your effort alone, shapes your outcomes. When you look inward, you often realize that what you desire is not the object itself, but the state it represents. Security, love, freedom, validation, significance. Once you cultivate those states internally, the external world begins to reorganize around your new center of gravity. Awakening is the realization that reality responds to who you are being, not merely to what you are doing. 2. Doing nothing and breaking resistance. The phrase "doing nothing" can sound misleading. It does not mean passivity, laziness, or giving up. It refers to releasing psychological resistance. It means silencing the frantic voice of the ego that insists everything must happen immediately and according to its script. When desire is mixed with fear, fear of not getting, fear of losing, fear of being unworthy, it becomes tension. Tension creates resistance. Resistance blocks flow. The more desperate you feel, the more tightly you grip. And the tighter you grip, the more life seems to slip away. Jung spoke of integration, the harmonious balance between conscious intention and unconscious trust. When you relax your mental grip, you create space. Space allows movement. Movement allows alignment. Instead of forcing outcomes, you begin cooperating with life. There is a profound power in stepping back internally. When you stop checking constantly, stop searching for signs, stop trying to manipulate every variable, something shifts. Your nervous system calms, your energy stabilizes, your decisions become clearer. Ironically, this state often leads to more effective action, but it is action rooted in clarity, not fear. In this relaxed state, you are no longer pushing reality, you are allowing it, and when resistance dissolves, the path forward often reveals itself with surprising ease. 3. Shifting from wanting to knowing. There is a subtle but powerful distinction between wanting and knowing. Wanting contains doubt. It implies distance between you and the desired outcome. It says, "I hope this happens." Hope carries uncertainty. Knowing, on the other hand, carries calm certainty. It does not shout. It does not beg. It does not chase. It simply rests in quiet assurance. Ask yourself, if you already possessed what you desire, would you constantly check for it? Would you obsess over signs? Would you panic about timing? Of course not. You would move through life naturally, without urgency. When you stop seeking constant validation from the external world, you enter what can be called the state of knowing. In this state, your identity shifts. You no longer see yourself as someone trying to get something. You see yourself as someone who is aligned with it. This shift changes your behavior subtly but powerfully. You make decisions differently. You speak differently. You carry yourself differently. Others respond to you differently. Opportunities resonate with your new internal state. Knowing is not arrogance. It is integration. It is the quiet understanding that what you seek is not separate from you. And from that space, manifestation ceases to feel like magic and begins to feel like coherence. 4. Confronting the shadow voice. After you release control, another challenge often appears. Jung called it the shadow, the hidden, unconscious aspects of yourself that contain doubt, fear, insecurity, and unresolved pain. The shadow may whisper, "Where is it? Why hasn't it happened yet? What if this doesn't work?" This is the true test of alignment. If you react to the shadow by panicking and returning to control, you fall back into the energy of lack. But if you observe it calmly, without identifying with it, something remarkable happens. The shadow begins to integrate. The shadow is not your enemy. It is a fragmented part of you seeking recognition. When you acknowledge its fears without allowing them to dominate your actions, you become psychologically whole. Instead of suppressing doubt, you hold space for it. Integration means you no longer swing between blind optimism and crippling fear. You remain steady. Doubt may arise, but it does not control you. You let it pass like a cloud across the sky. This emotional maturity strengthens your inner foundation. And when your inner foundation is stable, external circumstances lose their power to destabilize you. 5. Synchronicity and the process of alignment. Jung introduced the concept of synchronicity, meaningful coincidences that seem guided by something deeper than chance. When inner alignment occurs, external life begins to reflect it in unexpected ways. There is always a time gap between internal change and external manifestation. This is not failure. It is not delay. It is alignment in progress. Consider a seed planted in the soil. You cannot see it growing. Yet beneath the surface, complex processes are unfolding. If you dig it up every day to check its progress, you destroy the growth. Trust is essential. When you release resistance, synchronicities begin to appear. You meet the right person at the right time. You receive information precisely when needed. Opportunities emerge without force. Doors open naturally. These events are not random rewards from the universe. They are reflections of coherence between your inner world and outer reality. When psyche and matter resonate, life feels guided. You no longer feel as though you are fighting against life. Instead, you feel supported by it. Challenges still exist, but they do not feel hostile. They feel purposeful. Ultimately, this philosophy invites you into a profound transformation, from force to flow, from obsession to trust, from fragmentation to integration. When you stop gripping reality with fear, it softens. When you stop chasing, it approaches. When you stop trying to control every outcome, unexpected pathways open. Life becomes less about conquest and more about cooperation, less about proving and more about being. The mirror changes because you change, and in that quiet internal revolution, you realize something extraordinary. Reality was never against you. It was always responding to you. In the end, the journey you are invited into is not about attracting something outside of you. It is about remembering who you are beneath fear, beneath doubt, beneath the restless voice of the ego. When you stop trying to bend reality to your will and instead refine your inner world, you step into a deeper form of power, the power of alignment. You begin to understand that life is not withholding anything from you. It is responding to you. Every delay, every challenge, every coincidence carries a message about your inner state. And when that inner state shifts from tension to trust, from lack to wholeness, the outer world has no choice but to reorganize accordingly. This is not about magical thinking. It is about psychological coherence. It is about integration. It is about becoming so internally grounded that external outcomes no longer define your worth. When you release obsession, you gain clarity. When you release control, you gain flow. When you release fear, you gain freedom. And perhaps the greatest realization of all is this: the moment you stop chasing what you desire, you often discover that what you truly needed was not the object itself, but the transformation that occurred within you while seeking it. So instead of asking, "How can I make this happen?" begin asking, "Who must I become so that this unfolds naturally?" Shift inward, integrate your shadow, trust the silence, let life meet you where you stand. Because when you change the one who is looking into the mirror, the reflection cannot remain the same.